It's easy to ignore an email or a flyer announcing the kickoff of the Eco Olympics. That's why the goal of the Kickoff at Duke is to have one-on-one conversations about the competition with as many students as possible. It takes a lot of volunteers to accomplish, but feedback surveys have shown that it's extremely effective. Environmental Alliance calls this kind of kickoff dorm storming, because it's found that visiting students in their dorm rooms is the best way to get their undivided attention. Besides, it's much easier to engage students about the environmental impact of their dorm when they're sitting in it. In addition to simply talking with students about the competition, it can be a good idea to give them a few things that they can do to get started right away. Environmental Alliance has found two things work well for this purpose, and the first is to encourage students to take the online impact survey. This enters them into a drawing for a great prize and directs them to more information on the Eco Olympics website. The second is what Environmental Alliance likes to call the Lightbulb Exchange. When visiting each dorm room, the volunteers check to see if residents are using incandescent light bulbs in their personal lamps. And if they are, Environmental Alliance offers to change them out for a compact fluorescent light bulb, donated by the Facilities Management Department. That's an overview of the kickoff. Here's how Environmental Alliance has planned and executed it in the past. Environmental Alliance has found that Sunday nights after dinner are best for dorm storming because most students are in their dorm studying. When Environmental Alliance has tried dorm storming on weekday nights, residents have often been out at special events or late classes or student group meetings. Obviously, the more volunteers you have for dorm storming, the less time it takes. Environmental Alliance has found that it can get all of East Campus dorm stormed in 2 to 3 hours with about 30 volunteers. That's 2 volunteers for each small and medium-sized dorms, and 3 volunteers for each of the bigger dorms. You can often coax friends into helping in order to get the number of volunteers that you need. But if you don't have all the volunteers you need to finish the job in one night, don't worry. You can always finish dorm storming the following night. Just make sure teams report back which floors and rooms they've missed. If you have a phone list for your group, it often isn't too much trouble to find fresh volunteers to pick up the next night. Not surprisingly, dorms that get thoroughly dorm stormed perform better than those that don't. So if you want to host a fair competition, make certain that every dorm gets fully dorm stormed, even if it takes a few nights. It's a good idea to provide your volunteers with talking points so that residents in every dorm get the same message. The talking points also help nervous volunteers remember what to say. Sample talking points are included on this DVD and can be accessed using a computer. Every year, residents in the air-conditioned dorms get the idea that air conditioning will keep them from being competitive, so it can be helpful if the volunteers going to dorms with air conditioning ensure the residents that their air conditioning is being taken into account. It also doesn't hurt to remind residents that there are plenty of ways for them to win, even if they don't perform well in one event. If you've watched the advertising segment of this DVD, then you know that dormitory residents who are naturally enthusiastic about the Eco Olympics are really your best advertisers. The trick is finding those Eco Olympic enthusiasts and then keeping them engaged throughout the competition. The Kickoff dorm storm always turns up dozens of Eco Olympics enthusiasts. Don't let them get away. Make sure your dorm stormers have a way to collect contact information from these excited students. While dorm storming turns up a lot of students who are enthusiastic about sustainable living, it can also turn up students with negative attitudes towards environmentalism. Sometimes these folks will try to sap your volunteers' time and energy with combative debate. On Kickoff night, you should encourage your volunteers to let these debates go for the time being and focus on finding Eco Olympics enthusiasts. They can always return to those debates another day. For many people, going out and talking to dozens of strangers can be intimidating, to say the least. Fortunately, good preparation and the buddy system can alleviate a lot of fears. By pairing up, volunteers can provide each other with moral support as they visit residents in each dorm. Some pairs like to visit each room together, while others will work a hall together, taking opposite sides. Before everyone heads out to dorm storm, Environmental Alliance generally has all the volunteers gather for a brief meeting. The meeting allows volunteers to pair up, go over the talking points, choose which dorm they will visit, pick up compact fluorescent light bulbs to exchange, and grab flyers to hand out. Your volunteers' time is limited. Try and have everything prepared in advance so the meeting can be kept brief. Handing out a flyer may seem like a redundant waste of paper, considering volunteers are going to be delivering the Eco Olympics message in person. However, Environmental Alliance has found that the flyer serves several valuable purposes. It can be put under the door when students are not in their rooms. It can provide the link to the Eco Olympics website, which is difficult to communicate verbally. It can help volunteers remember their talking points. And it can provide additional information, such as photos of prizes, a sponsor list, rules of the game, and conservation tips. One thing to keep in mind is that it takes a lot of time to print 1,000 flyers, so don't leave it to the last minute. You'll want to print it on recycled paper, of course, so it can be good to run off the flyers late at night when you can change out the copier paper without messing up other people. A sample Kickoff flyer is provided on this DVD and can be accessed using a computer. One thing your volunteers can encourage residents to do immediately is to take the online impact survey. Experience has shown that the Kickoff is crucial to driving up survey participation. In years where the dorm storming has gone well, nearly 50% of residents will complete the survey within 24 hours. By the end of the competition, generally 65% of residents will complete the survey. That means the bulk of the survey participation is driven by the Kickoff. A high participation rate is desirable because it allows your group to show that the competition is really wide-reaching. You can help drive up survey participation during the Kickoff by putting a big link to the survey on the Kickoff flyer and by including it in your volunteers' talking points. Eco Olympics surveys have shown that 57% of students use personal lamps in addition to the overhead lights installed in their dorm rooms. Duke ensures that the overhead lights use energy-efficient fluorescent bulbs, but students often put incandescent light bulbs in their personal lamps. That's a shame, because compact fluorescent light bulbs last 10 times longer than incandescent bulbs and use only a quarter of the energy. So, another way Environmental Alliance has helped students get started in the competition is by giving away compact fluorescent light bulbs for students to use in their personal lamps. Environmental Alliance calls this the Lightbulb Exchange. It's a highly effective educational tool. Every year, between 25 and 30% of Eco Olympics survey respondents have reported that the Lightbulb Exchange was their first introduction to compact fluorescent light bulbs. And it saves money, too. Even when the personal lamps are used less than 4 hours a day, the energy conserved by the bulbs pays for the cost of the bulbs in just a few years. Many Duke students have graduated with the same compact fluorescent light bulbs in their personal lamp that they received their freshman year through the Lightbulb Exchange. At Duke, facilities management has always bought the compact fluorescent light bulbs for the Lightbulb Exchange. They understand that the Lightbulb Exchange is a good investment that will pay dividends in the form of energy savings. In order for them to order the bulbs, your group will need to contact them several weeks in advance. In the past, Environmental Alliance has found that 1,000 light bulbs is about the right number for 1,700 residents.
What is this? Jeez, that a light bulb looks more like an ice cream cone.
Because the Lightbulb Exchange is many students' first introduction to compact fluorescent lighting, you want to make sure it's a good experience. That starts with picking bulbs that have a nice light, turn on instantly, don't contain mercury, and are compact enough to fit in most desk lamps. It can be worth getting a sample in advance. One year, we ended up with bulbs that gave off a bluish light that reminded students of being in a hospital. Here's a hard-learned lesson. Your group must pick up the light bulbs before 5 p.m. because the facilities management storeroom is only open during business hours. If you're dorm storming on a Sunday night, someone must pick them up on Friday before 5, or you won't have any light bulbs to exchange. Encourage your volunteers to let residents know why they want to exchange their bulb, and prepare your volunteers to answer residents' questions. Sometimes students have negative ideas about fluorescent lights. Let them try the bulb to see if they like it. If they don't want it, that's okay. Keep in mind that when a compact fluorescent is first turned on, it can be a little dim, but it will reach its full brightness after about 1 minute. If you ask residents to change out their light bulbs while you wait, then you can collect the incandescent light bulbs. That way, they don't just end up in the trash. Some years, Environmental Alliance has donated the incandescent bulbs to a women's shelter, and other years it's taken them to be crushed so the materials can be recycled. It can be a good idea to have your volunteers bring a backpack or a tote bag for carrying all the bulbs. If you don't designate a collection point for the incandescent bulbs in advance, experience has shown that volunteers will haul them back to their own dorm rooms. which makes gathering them up a real chore. Good luck with your kickoff event.